Okay, so the Independence Youth Union, IYU, is a Palestinian youth movement that exists in all over where there are Palestinian people. This is the main idea, but we do exist in West Bank, Gaza Strip, and in the refugees camp in Lebanon, Syria, and in Jordan. And basically, we aim to empower young people, young Palestinian people, and to educate them, like using the tool of socialist education, to be critical about the society we're living in, and to also improve the way we're living as Palestinian. And we're left organization, like the main values we believe in is we're political. We don't say we're not political organization, we are political organization. We're left, we're educational, we're socialist education, we're socialist movement, we're also secular, we believe in secularism and democracy. And these are things that we also apply within the movement codes of how we work. We think it's very important because it's actually the main tool to change society. As I said, we're a political movement, but we are a political movement that we think to really create a change and to reach the way we want to do. We're using socialist education as a tool to increase activism within the members, but also as a tool to change society. Because you can, in Arabic we say, it's like when you teach a kid when he's a small, teaching in a young age, it's like drawing in the stones, it remains. And this is one of the main saying we have in the movement. This is why we use education. We do the socialist education in groups. We don't have someone who's more in a hierarchy way or have more knowledge. And actually each group of kids and children, and also the youth, they decide their own what do they want to learn and what do they want to be educated about, but not to tell for example, 2 people to educate them, but also to change it. It used to be different. But in 2007, we had a self-reflection about what is socialist education for us, and we decided that each group should decide. We talked a lot about it, and then we said, okay, the best way to do it is that everybody is equal and to have diversity within the group itself, and that each group decide their own what do they want to do and how do they want to use socialist education as a tool to be active, but also deciding on what are the things they want to learn, because there are things you don't learn about in school, for example, but also there are different ways. Socialist education is different than the formal education, that there is no competition, everybody is equal, and the values that everybody decide what do we want to learn about, and not someone imposing a curriculum on you that you need to have it. No, there are main values of the movement, and then each group decide within it. We have every year we have certain topics that we talk about in the movement, but then each group decide how they want to do it. So they want to learn about socialism, or they want to learn about democracy and how to apply it within the movement, but also how to work on changing it within the Palestinian society. There are one thing that also we managed through the socialist education to achieve in the movement, that we managed to to stand up against the the hierarchy in the Palestinian society and the patriarchy society. So we try to give power to young people and say, okay, not because they're young, they don't have knowledge or they're not experienced. No, they do. And they actually have a lot of things to say, and they can create a lot of changes. And you know, the Palestinian society in general, like wherever we exist, there's we have the occupation question. It's very big in the society, and what we try to do is that we socialist education is very important in creating dialogue. And through dialogue, you can create change. And this is one of the tools we use, dialogue, because not to be extreme and not to express yourself in a very extremist way, but no, to express yourself through dialogue and through like talking to the mind. And this is how you can like fight. And fighting is a way of also like being educated is one of the main tools to really manage to fight against whatever occupation, but also against the capitalist society we're living in, and this is what we try to do. Yes, there is Ferreri, Paulo Ferreri. I don't know, like he wrote about how to educate, and we use a lot of his theory. Like there's different kind of theories, but we basically try to we take the theory, but we try to adapt it also in a way that would I don't know, fit to the movement. Like not to fit to the the main idea, but like the main. We try to look at the children also as the teachers, or also as an educator for the children themselves, but also for the one who's guiding them. This is a hard question to ask, because since anyway we're not the movement, as I described before, has places in West Bank. There is in cities and in villages. We have branches, but also in Gaza Strip, the same, and also in the refugees camp in Lebanon, Jordan, and Syria. And to explain how every region has its own also autonomy because of the political situation, and it does influence. So every region decides their own how it works, and the daily work looks upon. There is a leader for every, not a leader, but someone who guide the branches in a different level, and in these different levels they also represent an idea. So they need to really, when they got to this position, they represent what do they want to do within the region, and this is how they got elected by the people. Also, the children, what do they want to do? And they also have their own, not election, but tiny choosing of how they want to do. And by this, there is a diversity from one place to another. So if you take an example of, there is one region, they could meet on daily basis, other meet on weekly basis, and some meet every, 2 weeks they meet once. It depends on really how they organize themselves in the regions, because we can't have one code of how to do things. And yes, each big branch, for example West Bank, they do have a summer camp where everybody meets one time a year. So only one time a year there is a camp where everybody can meet. And but it depends, places in Syria and Gaza, their camp cannot happen, so they don't meet all together. As I said, it depends on the place. Well, socialist education, okay. The context is different. In Palestine, socialist education also mean how to, we don't have a state yet. So for us, it's also having a state is not going to happen in 10 years. This is also how people think. But it's still, we are preparing young generation for the state that might happen, and that we can actually have a socialist state, but with democracy, which is also very important. It's not the example of old socialist states, but for us, socialist education is the values that we put in the children and in the youth that will be the future of the Palestinian, like of the coming Palestinian state, if I can. So it's probably different than in Germany, and but yeah, this is what it means for us. This is the special, like this is why we think that socialist education is very important, because yeah, it will be the base for our state.